Hi there, my name is unimportant, but the name of the guy this piece is about is very important. His name is Dimebag Darrell. Welcome to Dimebag Darrell's Ultimate Guide to Riffing and Shredding. Now I know what you're thinking. You're looking at the guitar and going, God damn it, this fat English idiot is left-handed. How does that help me? I'm a righty. Well, let me explain to you why it's cool that you understand what I'm doing by looking at me. These are the two reasons right here. Tony Iommi and Jimi Hendrix, both lefties. And if you want to be really good at playing guitar, you need to look at these guys and understand what the hell they're doing with their hands. So consider this your guide to learning how to understand a lefty, even though it's an English guide. If you want to get used to it too, just watch yourself in the mirror. Playing guitar, that is. The first riff we're going to look at is probably the most famous of the many great ones Dime wrote. This is the main riff to Walk. The guitar's tuned down to D, so it's a regular tuning but down one whole step. So here's the riff. It involves a string bend. Now watch what I'm doing with both hands. I'm killing the string in between the riff with these fingers here and also the palm of my picking hand. Here we go. This is the riff. To show you the importance of that string bend, here is what the riff sounds like if you played it without the bend. In addition to being one of the finest riff merchants on the planet, Dime was one hell of a great lead player. One of the things he liked to do a lot was use wide stretches. So here's two examples of a wide stretch lick, courtesy of Dime. This is the first one played fast. Here it is slower. The second one's a little harder because it involves some pinky strength. Your pinky, of course, being your little finger. Here we go. And here's the same exact thing, but slower. Another thing Dime liked to do was take a pattern on one string and move it symmetrically across the neck, i.e. playing the same exact thing, but on adjacent strings. Here's one that goes from E to E, because like he said, the 19th fret note on the A string is an E, so he figured, why doesn't he just play a cool riff on the high E string and take it right across and finish on that 19th fret? So we're going to take the second pattern we've just done and move it right across the neck. Here we go. And here it's the same exact thing, slower. And if you're wondering how I managed to keep the string noise to a minimum, check this out. The age-old famous use a sock treatment. And I'm not alone in this. A lot of famous guitar players, if they're honest, will admit they use a sock in the studio. Because you should. And I'm not famous, by the way. I suck, which is another reason why I'm using a sock. Here's another idea of symmetry, courtesy of Dime. This is very similar to something he does in his famous Cowboys from Hell solo. This is the pattern he's moving across the neck. As you can see, 11, 12, 15 on each and every string. Here it is quickly. And here it is slower. And look, no sock. Dime was a master of using natural harmonics being the ones that you get by just touching a string and then picking it like this. And he'd use weird ones like that one at the 2nd fret or just behind it. In fact, on Cowboys from Hell, there's a song called Heresy, and the entire opening riff is made up completely of natural harmonics. Here's how it goes. To get those harmonics, what I'm doing is I'm resting the fleshy part of the underside of my finger lightly on the string, but not hard enough to fret it down. Don't do that. If you do, it'll suck. And you've got to be pretty accurate on where you place it as well, especially on the weird ones between the 3rd and 2nd fret. Also, a lot of distortion, and just practice and perseverance. Here is that same riff slowly. Another great use Dime had for natural harmonics was using them to spice up a riff, one of the greatest examples being one of the opening riffs in Mouth for War, a fog display of power. What he does is between a really driving riff, he just hits the D, G, and B strings just in front of the second fret to make a really high-pitched noise like this. Here's that riff. And here it is slower. Another rhythm method Dime used brilliantly was his use of major and minor dyads, that's two-note chords. This is what a minor dyad sounds like. Here's a regular C5 chord, and here's the minor dyad. Here's an example of him using those to great effect in the chorus of This Love. And here's the same riff using regular power chords, not half as impactful, I'm sure you'll agree. That was a minor dyad. Now check out the major dyad. Here's a G5 chord, root fifth. And here's the major dyad form of it. Here's a great example of Dime using that shape in Regular People Conceit from Fog Display of Power. And here's that riff a little bit slower because it's kind of fast. Here's Dime's surprisingly mellow, rut-busting riff to jam over. Here we go.